Tom wiped the sweat from his forehead as he lifted another box from the back of his truck. The sun was setting, painting the sky with warm orange and gold. He had been busy all week, and this evening he just wanted to finish moving his supplies into the garage and sit down with a cold drink. His house was simple, but it was his pride, something he had worked hard to afford. The street was quiet, only the sound of cicadas in the distance. Tom liked it that way. He never caused trouble for anyone, and he expected the same in return. Most of the neighbors were polite, though some whispered about the homeowners association, or HOA as they called it. Tom had already heard plenty of stories about their rules and how strict they could be. Still, he thought, as long as he minded his own business, they would leave him alone. That thought was broken by the sharp sound of footsteps on his driveway. Tom turned his head and saw a woman approaching. She carried a thick folder under her arm and wore a serious expression. She didn't wave or smile. Instead, she marched straight up to his front porch as if she owned the place. She knocked loudly on the door, even though Tom was already standing just a few feet away. Tom placed the box down and opened the door with a calm face. "Yes, can I help you?" he asked. The woman straightened her shoulders. "I'm Karen from the HOA board," she announced. "I need to inspect your backyard. There have been reports of violations." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Reports? From who?" "That doesn't matter," Karen said firmly. "What matters is that I need to look at your property, right now." Tom took a slow breath. He had dealt with pushy people before, but this woman spoke as if she had full authority over his home. "I don't think so," he replied. "This is my house. You're not going into my backyard without my permission." Karen's face tightened. She crossed her arms and tapped her foot. "Listen, young man, I am on the board. The rules are clear. I have the right to check your property whenever necessary." "No," Tom said firmly. "You don't. You're not law enforcement, and you're not coming in." Her voice rose, sharp enough to cut through the calm evening air. "If you refuse to let me in, I'll call the police. You'll regret this." Tom didn't flinch. He stood in the doorway, arms folded across his chest. "Call them. That doesn't change the fact you're not stepping inside." For a moment, Karen looked stunned that anyone would talk back to her. Then she pulled out her phone. Her hands moved quickly as she pressed the numbers, and within seconds she had the phone to her ear. "Yes, I'd like to report a homeowner refusing to cooperate with inspection," she said in a loud, dramatic voice. "This man is being aggressive and will not let me do my duty. Send someone right away." Tom stood calmly, watching her. He was neither angry nor afraid. He knew exactly what his rights were, and he wasn't about to let anyone bully him in his own home. Karen ended the call and gave him a smug look. "The police are on their way," she said, as if the matter was settled. Tom leaned against the doorway. "Then I'll wait." "But you're not coming in." Silence stretched between them for a moment, broken only by the faint chirp of crickets in the yard. Karen's eyes glared with a mix of anger and pride. She truly believed she had the upper hand. What she didn't know was that her call had already reached someone who knew Tom better than anyone. The dispatcher who had taken her call was none other than Tom's wife, Anna. She was calm, experienced, and professional, but when she heard Karen's report, she instantly recognized the address. Her husband's house. Karen stood on the porch, arms crossed, certain the police would soon arrive to back her up. Tom stood inside his doorway, steady as a stone, ready for whatever came next. Neither of them knew how quickly the situation was about to turn in a very unexpected direction. At the county dispatch center, Anna adjusted her headset as another call came through. The evening had been busy with reports of minor accidents, noise complaints, and the usual weekend issues. She had been doing this job long enough to stay calm in every situation. Her voice was steady, and her training always guided her. But when the next caller's voice reached her ears, Anna's calm heart gave a small jump. "Hello, yes, I'm reporting a homeowner refusing inspection. He is standing at his door, refusing to let me in. I feel threatened. I need officers right away." Anna's fingers froze above the keyboard. The address the caller gave was painfully familiar. It was her own home. The homeowner the woman was complaining about was her husband, Tom. Anna's mind raced, but her voice stayed steady and professional. She typed in the report and followed the procedure, but she knew she had to handle this carefully. Dispatchers were trained not to interfere with calls related to their own families, but she also knew the truth: Tom would never threaten anyone. He was calm, patient, and fair. If he had refused this woman entry, it was for a good reason. "Ma'am," Anna said into the headset, "please remain calm. Officers will be notified. For your safety, do not enter the home." Karen's voice snapped back through the line. "I don't need your instructions. I know my rights. He cannot stop me. Do your job and send someone." Anna did not argue. She ended the call politely and flagged the situation to the responding unit. 2 officers were assigned, and they would be there within minutes. Anna sighed and leaned back in her chair. Her partner at the desk, Mike, glanced over. "Something wrong?" Anna gave a small smile. "Just a caller who thinks she has more power than she does. Officers will sort it out." Mike nodded, unaware of the personal detail Anna had kept to herself. Back at the house, Tom leaned against the doorframe, arms folded, as Karen paced in the driveway. She muttered under her breath about rules, authority, and how people like him ruined good neighborhoods. Tom stayed silent. He knew any word he spoke now would only give her more to twist against him. Minutes later, the sound of a police car grew louder. Karen straightened up, her face lighting with victory. She waved her arms as the vehicle pulled into the street. "Over here, officers. Over here." 2 uniformed officers stepped out. Both were calm and professional, their eyes moving from Karen to Tom. Karen hurried toward them, speaking quickly. "Thank goodness you're here. This man has refused an inspection. He's breaking HOA rules, and when I tried to do my duty, he blocked me and threatened me." Tom stood quietly, waiting his turn. One of the officers raised a hand to slow Karen down. "Ma'am, we'll hear your side, but let's take this one step at a time." Karen folded her arms, clearly annoyed that she wasn't believed right away. The officer turned to Tom. "Sir, what's going on tonight?" Tom spoke in a calm, steady tone. "I was moving boxes into my garage. This lady came onto my porch and demanded to go into my backyard. I told her no, because she has no right to enter my home. She got angry and called you." The officers glanced at each other, then back at Karen. One of them asked, "Ma'am, do you have any legal document that gives you the right to enter his property without permission?" Karen sputtered. "I am on the HOA board. That is authority enough." "Not in this case," the officer replied. "The HOA can set neighborhood rules, but you cannot force entry onto someone's private property. That's trespassing." Karen's eyes widened. "Trespassing? I was doing my job." "Ma'am, your job does not allow you to step into someone's home without consent," the officer said firmly. Tom remained calm, though inside he felt relief that the truth was being recognized. Karen, however, was not ready to give up. "This is unacceptable. Do you know who I am? I will take this to the highest board." The officers stayed patient. "You are free to file a complaint with your HOA, but that is a civil matter. It does not involve the police. You cannot misuse emergency lines for something like this." Tom almost smiled, but he stayed quiet. Karen's face turned red with frustration. She pointed at Tom. "You will regret this. You and your wife both." The words hung in the air. She had no idea that the dispatcher who had calmly handled her call was the very woman she was threatening. The officers gave her a warning to leave the property and not misuse emergency services again. Reluctantly, she stepped back, still muttering under her breath. Tom thanked the officers politely. They nodded and reminded him to call them directly if she caused further trouble. As their car pulled away, Tom looked out at the street, knowing this would not be the last time Karen tried something. Inside the dispatch center, Anna listened quietly as the radio confirmed the officers had cleared the scene. She allowed herself a small sigh of relief. For now, the storm had passed, but she knew Karen's type well. They did not quit easily. What Karen did not realize was that she had tangled herself in a fight she could not win. And Anna was ready. The next morning, Tom was enjoying a quiet breakfast with Anna in their kitchen. The sunlight poured in through the windows, and the aroma of fresh coffee filled the air. He was trying to forget the previous evening's tension, but he knew that HOA Karen would not give up easily. Anna poured herself another cup and gave Tom a calm smile. "Don't worry," she said. "She may be loud, but she can't break the law. You handled yesterday perfectly." Tom nodded. "I know, but she'll be back. People like her never stop." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of another knock at the door. Tom frowned and walked to the front entrance. When he opened the door, he saw Karen standing there with the same sharp look, a clipboard in hand, and a new determination in her eyes. "Good morning," she said in a falsely cheerful tone. "I just wanted to make sure we're clear about yesterday. I will be filing complaints, and I expect you to cooperate next time." Tom remained calm. "You can file all the complaints you want. That doesn't change the fact that you cannot enter my property without my permission." Karen's lips pressed into a tight line. "You are very bold. Do you know how many people have been fined for refusing an inspection?" Tom raised an eyebrow. "I do. But fines do not give you the right to trespass. You should know that." Karen's face reddened, and she looked around, pretending to search for support from neighbors. She noticed some of the neighbors watching from their porches, curious but unsure how to react. Tom could see them whispering among themselves. Anna, standing slightly behind Tom, had silently joined him at the door. She crossed her arms and said, "Karen, please leave. This conversation is over. You are not allowed on this property without consent. If you continue, you will be trespassing." Karen froze. Her eyes widened as she realized she was now speaking not only to Tom but also to a trained dispatcher who knew exactly how to handle these situations. Tom gave a small nod. "Anna handles these matters professionally, Karen. She knows the law and the correct steps. I suggest you listen." Karen's face twisted in frustration. She looked like she wanted to argue, but she knew that standing here would only worsen her position. She stepped back, muttering about unfair treatment and powerful couples. Tom closed the door slowly, keeping his voice calm. "Have a good day, Karen. Remember, the next time you try this, it will not end well for you." Once the door was shut, Tom leaned against it and laughed quietly. Anna shook her head but smiled. "You handled that very well," she said. "Now, we need a plan in case she comes back." Tom nodded. "I don't want trouble, but I also don't want her bullying anyone in this neighborhood." Anna thought for a moment. "We will document everything. Anytime she comes back, we record the date, time, and details. If she misuses emergency services again, we have proof. And if she crosses any boundaries, we can involve the police immediately." Tom felt a wave of relief. "Good. I like that plan." Later that afternoon, Tom returned to his garage to continue organizing his tools and boxes. He noticed that Karen's car was slowly driving down the street. She waved at some neighbors, trying to make herself look important, but most of the neighbors just ignored her. A few even shook their heads, clearly unimpressed. Tom realized that Karen's attempts to intimidate him were already failing. Her reputation as a strict, controlling HOA member was not helping her. Instead, people were beginning to see her for what she truly was, someone who enjoyed trying to control others without understanding the law. Meanwhile, Anna monitored the neighborhood activity from her computer at home. She had set up a small camera system around the property to ensure that everything was recorded. Karen did not know about the cameras, and Anna intended to keep it that way. Even as Karen drove away slowly, she muttered under her breath, "This isn't over. I will find a way." Tom watched her go and turned to Anna. "She's persistent," he said. Anna smiled calmly. "Yes, but persistence does not equal power. We follow the rules, and she cannot touch us. That is how she loses." Tom felt a sense of pride and relief. For the first time, he realized that having Anna by his side made all the difference. Not only was she professional and knowledgeable, but she also knew how to handle difficult people like Karen without anger or fear. That evening, the neighborhood was quiet again. Tom and Anna sat on their porch, sipping tea and watching the sunset. The previous days had been stressful, but now they felt ready. Whatever Karen tried next, they knew exactly how to respond. Because in this neighborhood, Tom and Anna would no longer be intimidated. And Karen would soon learn that not every homeowner was easy to bully. The following morning, Tom woke up to a bright, sunny day. He enjoyed quiet mornings like these, drinking coffee on the porch while listening to the birds sing. He thought about the events of the past few days. HOA Karen had tried to intimidate him, but so far, her efforts had failed. Tom felt confident, especially with Anna by his side. Anna entered the porch carrying a folder. She smiled at Tom. "I checked our notes and the city rules again. Karen has no right to enter our property, but she might try something new. We need to be ready." Tom nodded. "She's already persistent. I wouldn't be surprised if she tries another way to get attention." As if on cue, a familiar sound reached them, the harsh rumble of Karen's car approaching slowly down the street. This time, she was not alone. Behind her, another woman from the HOA was riding in the passenger seat. They both waved at neighbors as if they were entitled to admiration. Karen parked her car in front of Tom's house and stepped out, holding her clipboard high like a shield. "Good morning, Mr. Tom. Miss Anna. I have new instructions from the HOA board. We need to talk about compliance immediately." Tom kept his calm. "Karen, we have already discussed this. You cannot enter my property without permission. You can speak to me from the street if you like." Karen stepped closer to the sidewalk. "That is not acceptable. I am following orders from the board. They want me to inspect all properties in the neighborhood. You must cooperate." Anna crossed her arms and replied in a firm voice. "Karen, no board can give you the right to trespass. We follow the law, and you cannot force entry. Please stay on the sidewalk and respect our property." Karen's companion looked nervous, unsure of what to do. Karen, however, seemed determined. She lowered her clipboard slightly and leaned toward Tom. "We are simply enforcing rules. If you don't cooperate, we can escalate this. There could be fines, legal notices, or even city involvement." Tom remained calm. "We will not ignore rules, but rules do not give you the right to threaten or enter my home. Any further attempt will be considered harassment." Karen's face flushed with frustration. She stomped her foot lightly, then waved to her companion. The companion nodded. They whispered for a moment, clearly planning something new. Tom noticed the subtle movement and glanced at Anna. "Looks like they are thinking of a new tactic." Anna smiled faintly. "Yes, but it won't work. We just need to stay calm and record everything. Evidence is stronger than threats." Karen suddenly pulled out her phone and began taking pictures of Tom's yard from the sidewalk. She snapped photos of the lawn, the garage, and even the flowers near the porch. "These are violations," she announced loudly. "This is proof for the board." Tom stepped closer to the door, keeping a polite tone. "Karen, you are welcome to take pictures from the sidewalk, but you are not allowed to enter. Please do not threaten or approach any closer. Any further harassment will be documented." Karen ignored him and moved a little closer to the yard, trying to angle for better photos. Anna immediately stepped forward. "Karen, one more step, and you are trespassing. Stay on the sidewalk. This is your warning." Karen froze, realizing that Anna's voice had a serious authority. She hesitated, but she did not leave immediately. Instead, she waved her hands as if showing she was only taking photos from a public space. Tom shook his head. "It doesn't matter how many photos you take. We are not doing anything wrong. And we are documenting this too. Your misuse of your position is already being recorded." Karen looked around, noticing some neighbors had come out to watch. Their expressions were polite but skeptical. Some whispered to each other, shaking their heads as they observed the confrontation. Karen's confident posture seemed to falter under the attention. Anna quietly signaled Tom to move back inside while she stayed near the door to monitor Karen. "Let's not give her the reaction she wants," Anna said softly. "We remain calm, and she loses credibility with the neighbors and the board." Karen continued taking pictures, but the energy had changed. She was no longer in full control. The confidence she had shown before now seemed forced. She glanced at her companion, who looked worried and uneasy. Finally, after several minutes, Karen muttered, "We will return with more instructions. You haven't seen the last of this." She got back into her car, and the companion drove away as well. Tom closed the door and leaned against it, exhaling. "She's clever, but persistent cleverness doesn't always win." Anna smiled. "Exactly. We follow the law, document everything, and stay calm. That is how we protect ourselves. Karen will learn soon enough that intimidation doesn't work here." Tom felt a sense of relief. Though Karen was still a challenge, he now understood that with patience, knowledge, and clear boundaries, he could face her without fear. That evening, as the sun set over the quiet neighborhood, Tom and Anna sat on their porch. The stress from the morning had faded, leaving a calm confidence. They knew Karen might try again, but this time, they were ready. Karen's next move could come at any time, but Tom and Anna would meet it with careful planning and calm authority. In this neighborhood, patience, knowledge, and courage were stronger than intimidation. The next morning, Tom and Anna were in their home office, going over some paperwork. They had spent the previous days carefully documenting Karen's actions, noting times, dates, and what had happened. Anna had also set up additional security cameras around the property, ensuring every corner of the yard was covered. Tom poured himself a cup of coffee and looked out the window. "I feel like she's planning something bigger today," he said quietly. Anna nodded. "She is. People like her rarely back down when they think they can win. But we are ready. Calm, documented, prepared. That is our advantage." Sure enough, an hour later, the familiar sound of Karen's car approached. She stepped out again, but this time she brought two more people. One was another HOA board member, and the other was a man who carried a small clipboard and a digital tablet. They all looked confident, as if they had a plan to finally intimidate Tom. Karen strode up the sidewalk first. "Good morning, Mr. Tom, Miss Anna. We have official instructions today. We need full access to your property immediately." Tom opened the door calmly. "Good morning, Karen. You can speak from the sidewalk, but entry is not allowed. You have no legal authority to force your way in." Karen waved her hands. "This is an official inspection. We have the authority to issue fines and report violations. You must cooperate. Anna stepped forward, placing herself slightly in front of the door. Karen, your authority does not include entering a private home. Please remember, any attempt to step onto the property will be trespassing. Karen's companion spoke up. We are only here to follow proper procedure. Tom smiled politely. Proper procedure does not include threats or forced entry. You may continue walking on the sidewalk, but nothing beyond that. Karen huffed and pulled out her phone. She began taking videos of the yard, flowers, and even the garage doors. This is all being documented. You cannot hide violations from the board. Anna calmly spoke into the open doorway. Tom and I are also documenting everything. Your misuse of position is clear, and all evidence will be submitted to the proper authorities. Karen's eyes narrowed. You think you can fight us with cameras? This is serious. You could face fines, legal trouble, or even city involvement. Tom held his ground. We are aware of the rules and the law. We follow them. That is all that matters. Karen was clearly frustrated. She turned to her companions and whispered. They seemed to be considering their options. Then, one of them pulled out a legal notice and waved it toward Tom. Anna calmly took the papers. Thank you. We will review these. But for now, your presence on our property is not authorized. Please stay on the sidewalk. Karen's face was red with frustration. You cannot ignore this. You will regret refusing us. Tom smiled faintly. Karen, I have no intention of ignoring rules. But I also do not accept threats. We handle situations with facts, not intimidation. At that moment, a neighbor stepped out onto the street, holding a small tablet. Excuse me, the neighbor said. I think it's important that everyone sees what is happening. These people cannot enter private property without permission. Karen froze, realizing several neighbors had gathered, observing the situation. Their expressions were calm but firm, silently supporting Tom without saying a word. Anna whispered to Tom, "This is good. People see the truth now." Karen glanced around. Her confidence was faltering. She waved at her companions and muttered something about returning later. Then, she and the others got into their cars and drove away, looking frustrated and defeated. Tom exhaled and leaned against the doorframe. That could have gone worse. Anna smiled. It did not. We stayed calm, followed the law, and documented everything. That is how we win against people who think intimidation works. Later that evening, Tom and Anna sat on their porch, enjoying a peaceful moment. The tension from the morning had passed, replaced by a quiet sense of accomplishment. Tom looked at Anna and said, "It feels good knowing we handled her calmly and legally. I think she understands now that we are not easy to intimidate." Anna nodded. Yes. But she may try again. What matters is that we are ready. Calm, prepared, and united. That is our strength. The neighborhood was quiet, the sun casting long shadows across the street. Tom and Anna felt confident that their careful planning had finally started to turn the situation in their favor. Karen had tried to intimidate them multiple times, but she was now losing credibility with the neighbors and the HOA board. And for the first time, Tom realized that with patience, calmness, and preparation, even someone as persistent as Karen could be handled without anger or conflict. The next move, if there was one, would have to come from Karen. And this time, she would face a family who knew their rights, followed the law, and were ready for anything. Tom smiled at Anna. We make a good team. Anna smiled back. The best. And together, we will keep our home safe, calm, and peaceful. The sun set slowly behind the houses, and the street became quiet once more. For now, Tom and Anna had won. The challenge was not over, but their confidence and preparation ensured that they were ready for whatever came next. In this neighborhood, law, patience, and calm authority were stronger than intimidation. The following week, Tom and Anna felt a mixture of calm and anticipation. They knew HOA Karen would not give up easily. Every morning, they checked the cameras, reviewed the notes, and planned how to respond if she returned. They were ready for her next move, whatever it might be. On a warm afternoon, a familiar sound echoed down the street, the rumble of Karen's car. But this time, she arrived alone. She stepped out confidently, holding a thick stack of papers and a pen. Her expression showed determination, as if this visit would finally force Tom to comply. Tom opened the door and leaned against the frame, calm as ever. Anna stood slightly behind him, arms crossed, watching Karen carefully. "Good afternoon, Mr. Tom, Miss Anna," Karen began in a firm voice. "I am here with the final notice from the HOA board. You have refused multiple inspections, and this will have serious consequences if you do not cooperate today." Tom smiled politely. "Karen, we have explained before that you cannot enter our property without permission. We are aware of the rules, and we follow them. Please understand that intimidation will not change the law." Karen's eyes narrowed. "This is the last chance. If you refuse again, fines will be imposed, and legal action may follow." Anna stepped forward, her voice steady. "Karen, we are prepared for this. Your legal notices do not authorize you to enter our home. We will follow all rules, but we will not be intimidated. Please stay on the sidewalk." Karen looked around, noticing that a few neighbors had stepped outside to watch. The whispers and looks of concern made her pause. She realized the attention was not in her favor. Tom spoke calmly. "Anna and I have documented every visit, every interaction, and every claim. If you try to misrepresent the situation, the evidence will show the truth. This is not personal, it is simply following the law." Karen hesitated. She flipped through her papers, looking for something new to use. Then she pointed to a section and said, "Here, it states that homeowners must allow access for inspections. You cannot refuse." Tom took a deep breath. "That rule applies to the HOA, not to forced entry. You cannot come onto private property without consent. That is the law. You may walk on the sidewalk and observe from there. That is the limit." Karen's face turned red. She could feel the tension rising but refused to show weakness. "This is unacceptable. You cannot ignore this. The board will escalate this immediately." Anna calmly spoke. "Karen, escalation will not help you. Any misuse of your position or threats will be part of the record. We follow the law, and that is how we protect our rights." Karen's frustration became visible. She tapped her foot and muttered something under her breath. Then, she took out her phone to make another call. Tom and Anna exchanged a knowing glance. They had prepared for this possibility. Anna whispered to Tom, "Remember, stay calm. Do not react. Let her actions speak for themselves." Karen dialed her call and spoke loudly into the phone. "Yes, this homeowner refuses to cooperate with the HOA. I need assistance immediately. Please send someone to enforce compliance." Tom remained calm, showing no sign of anger. Anna listened carefully, her professional experience guiding her. She recognized that Karen was misusing emergency or official lines again. Karen did not realize that this call, like the first one, would not go as planned. Anna kept her cool, ensuring that the right reports were created and ready if any false claims were made. She also had the evidence of Karen's past visits ready for reference. Karen finally ended the call, breathing heavily. "You will see. You cannot escape responsibility." Tom finally spoke in a calm, firm voice. "Karen, this neighborhood respects the law and the rights of homeowners. Your repeated attempts at intimidation have been documented. The board and neighbors will see the truth. This is your last warning, any further attempts will only harm your credibility, not ours. Karen looked around once more. The neighbors' expressions were neutral but clearly aware of her behavior. Her attempts at intimidation were failing. For the first time, she seemed unsure. Without another word, Karen gathered her papers, stepped back onto the sidewalk, and returned to her car. She started the engine and drove away slowly, glancing back several times, frustrated but powerless. Tom exhaled and turned to Anna. I think that's the final attempt. She looks like she's given up for now. Anna smiled. Yes. She will probably complain to the board, but we have all the evidence. Every step she took was recorded, and we followed the law perfectly. We have done everything correctly. Later that evening, Tom and Anna sat on the porch, enjoying the quiet street and the golden sunset. They reflected on the week's events and felt a sense of satisfaction. Their patience, preparation, and calm approach had worked. They had stood firm, followed the law, and remained respectful while handling someone determined to intimidate them. Tom raised his coffee cup. We make a good team. Anna smiled and raised hers. The best team. We protect our home, our rights, and each other. That is what matters. For now, peace had returned to the street. The tension was gone, replaced by quiet confidence. Tom and Anna had faced HOA Karen's persistent attempts to intimidate them and had come out stronger, prepared, and united. In this neighborhood, knowledge, calmness, and preparation proved stronger than threats and intimidation. The next morning, Tom and Anna woke to a quiet neighborhood. For the first time in over a week, there was no rumble of Karen's car or the sound of a knock on the door. The air felt lighter, and the couple enjoyed a sense of calm they had not experienced in days. Anna brewed coffee while Tom looked out the window. It feels peaceful today, he said. I wonder if Karen finally gave up. Anna smiled. Maybe. Or maybe she's planning quietly. But no matter what, we are ready. We know our rights, and we know how to protect our home. Tom nodded. I feel good knowing we stayed calm and handled everything correctly. That's more important than winning any argument. Later that afternoon, as Tom worked in the garage, he noticed a neighbor approaching. It was Mr. Patel, who lived 2 houses down. He carried a small envelope in his hand and a smile on his face. Hello, Tom. Anna, Mr. Patel said warmly. I just wanted to check on you. I saw what happened last week, and I must say, you handled everything really well. You stayed calm, followed the rules, and didn't let her intimidate you. Tom laughed softly. Thanks, Mr. Patel. It was stressful, but Anna kept me grounded. We made sure to document everything and follow the law. Mr. Patel nodded. I think Karen has lost credibility with most neighbors. People are talking, and they see that intimidation doesn't work. You've set a good example. Anna joined them with a smile. We just wanted to keep things fair and peaceful. That's all. Mr. Patel handed the envelope to Tom. This is from the HOA board. I think it will make you happy. Tom opened it carefully. Inside was a letter from the HOA board, officially acknowledging that Karen had overstepped her authority. The letter stated that homeowners must be treated with respect, inspections cannot involve threats or trespassing, and any misuse of HOA authority would be formally addressed. Tom looked at Anna with wide eyes. They actually admitted it? Anna nodded. Yes. The board has recognized the problem. Our patience and careful documentation worked. Just then, Karen's car slowly drove by the neighborhood. She waved at some neighbors, but her confident demeanor had faded. Most neighbors ignored her, some even shaking their heads in disapproval. Karen realized she had lost her influence. Tom smiled and closed the envelope. Looks like it's really over this time. Anna put her hand on his shoulder. Yes. And not only that, We also showed our neighbors that intimidation does not work. We protected our home, our rights, and each other. As the sun began to set, the couple sat on the porch, sipping their tea. The street was quiet, peaceful, and calm. For days, tension had filled the air, but now everything felt normal again. Tom reflected on the experience. I learned something important. It's not about fighting back with anger or fear. It's about staying calm, knowing your rights, and handling the situation with patience. Anna nodded. Exactly. Strength comes from preparation, knowledge, and confidence, not intimidation. And we showed that clearly. A few neighbors walked past, greeting Tom and Anna warmly. Their gestures were small but meaningful. The couple realized that their calm and steady approach had earned respect, not just from the HOA but from the community around them. Later, as they prepared dinner, Tom looked at Anna. I'm glad we did this together. I couldn't have handled it alone. Anna smiled warmly. Neither could I. Teamwork made the difference. And now, our home is safe and peaceful again. After dinner, they sat once more on the porch, watching the sky turn soft shades of orange and pink. The stressful week felt like a distant memory. Peace had returned, and the lessons they learned were more valuable than any victory. Tom raised his glass of water. To patience, preparation, and teamwork. Anna clinked her glass with his. To calm and confidence. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, the neighborhood was calm. Karen had tried her best to intimidate, to control, and to enforce her version of authority. But Tom and Anna had shown that knowledge, patience, and lawful action were far stronger than threats. From that day on, their home remained a place of peace and safety. The couple knew that no matter what challenges might come, they could handle them together. Karen's efforts had ended, but Tom and Anna's strength and unity had only grown stronger. The lesson was clear: respect the law, respect each other, and stand firm with calm confidence. That was how victory was achieved. And in their quiet neighborhood, Tom and Anna finally enjoyed the true peace they had worked so hard to protect.